In the spring of 2020, United Airlines needed cash fast. So it went looking for the most valuable thing it owned to borrow against. Not its planes, not its gates, not the landing slots at every major airport in the country. It borrowed against its frequent flyer program. Bankers appraised that program, MileagePlus, the little balance of miles sitting in your account, at $21.9 billion. That was more than the entire airline was worth on the stock market. The miles in your account are not a perk. They are a currency the airline prints, and they are the most valuable thing it owns. Start with what a mile actually is. Not to you, to the airline. To you, a mile is a discount you are slowly saving up for a trip. To the airline, a mile is a product it manufactures, and manufacturing it costs almost nothing. One more line in a database. The airline decides how many miles exist. The airline decides what each one is worth. That is not a loyalty program. That is a mint. United runs a printing press for a private currency, and the currency is called miles. So who buys this currency? You would assume it is travelers. It is not. The airline's single biggest customer for miles is a bank. Every time you swipe a United credit card, the bank, mostly Chase, is buying miles from the airline in bulk at wholesale and handing them to you as a reward. The airline gets real money up front. The bank gets a customer who will keep spending to earn more of a currency only the airline can print. And here is the number that reorders the whole business. Of every dollar of cash the miles bring in, 71 cents comes from selling miles to third parties. Banks, hotels, rental car chains. 29 cents comes from people actually flying. United makes more than twice as much selling miles as it does carrying you to the places you spend them. And selling a mile is a beautiful business because of when the money moves. The bank pays the airline today. You might redeem that mile in 3 years. You might never redeem it at all. In between, the airline is sitting on billions of dollars that has already been paid, owing you nothing but a seat it may never have to give up, and one that would often have flown empty anyway. It is the gift card trick run at the scale of a national currency. All told, MileagePlus throws off about $5.3 billion of cash a year, and $1.8 billion of that is earnings before a single cent goes to interest or taxes. Which brings us back to 2020. When United needed money to survive the pandemic, it did not mortgage the fleet. It put MileagePlus up as collateral and borrowed $5 billion against it. And to do that, it had to let bankers put a number on the program, out loud, on paper. The number was $21.9 billion, 12 times what the program earns in a single year. At that same moment, everything else about United, every airplane, every route, every gate, the brand itself, was worth about $10 billion on the stock market. The frequent flyer program was worth more than twice the airline it was supposedly loyal to. So United mortgaged the mint to save the airline. There is one last thing a mint can do that an ordinary business cannot. It can quietly change what its own money is worth. You earn a pile of miles expecting a certain trip for a certain number of them. Then, with no notice and no announcement, that same trip quietly costs more miles than it did last year. Your balance did not shrink. The exchange rate did. Officially, the airline calls this dynamic pricing. The plain word is devaluation. And the airline can do it whenever it likes, to anyone holding miles because it sets the rate on a currency only it is allowed to print. Every mile in your account is a promise the printer reserves the right to rewrite. So here is the ledger's view of the whole arrangement. You think you are the airline's customer. The traveler it is competing to fly. On the ledger, you are something else. You are the reason a bank will pay the airline billions of dollars for a currency the airline makes for free. You are not the one buying the miles. You are the channel the miles are sold through. The planes are how the airline advertises the mint. In a recent year, not one of the big American airlines would have turned a profit at all without the money from selling miles. They sell you a seat. They sell the banks a currency. Only one of those is the business. That's the face value. The ledger says otherwise.